Hola, bienvenidos a otra sesión de Satchel Classes. Soy Mr. Castrillón and I would like to welcome you to another session here on Satchel Classes. Today's question, ¿qué necesitas?, is going to be very important and very useful for many structures that we will have to do during our writing exercises or our speaking exercises. Let's have a look at the objectives today. Hoy vamos a repasar vocabulario relacionado con el supermercado. Vamos a aprender la conjugación del verbo necesitar en presente. Vamos a emplear el verbo necesitar para pedir favores. Finalmente, vamos a escuchar hablantes nativos. Okay, let's start our lesson today. But before we do anything else, we are going to practice our pronunciation. Today's sound is G. G. In Spanish, whenever you see G and U together, you have to pronounce it in the way of G. So let's see some examples. Guerra. Guerra. Do repeat after me. Guerra. Guerra. Águila. 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 Ceguera. 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 Cargue. 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 Distinguir. 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 So as you can see, the sound is G, and it's a combination that you need to be very familiar with, because in Spanish we have the G but without the U, and then the sound is going to change. A couple of things before we continue. The word ceguera can be pronounced ceguera, and that is South American, Latin American Spanish, or ceguera, which is Spanish from Spain. Now I'm going to give you 1 minute to try and translate these words, as many as you can and as fast as you can. Off you go. And our time is up. How did those answers were? Let's have a look. The first one means war. Guerra means war in English, in Spanish, sorry. Águila is eagle. Eagle. Ceguera, blindness. Blindness, that's the one. Cargue. Actually, it comes from the verb to load, and it's a conjugative verb, and it would be he loads. Finally, distinguir, distinguish. Distinguish. Okay, how did that go? Let's continue with our lesson today. El supermercado. Well, we're going to start first with some words that are really important for today's lesson. So what we have to do is we are going to match up the following words: verduras, leche, frutas, elementos de aseo, aceite, flores, carne. And we are going to match them up with these words in yellow: toiletries, meat, vegetables, oil, fruits, milk, and flowers. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do so. Off you go. And the time is up. Let's have a look at the answers. Verduras means vegetables. Leche means milk. Frutas, fruits. Elementos de aseo, toiletries. Aceite, oil. Flores, flowers. And finally, carne, meat. We are going to continue with our vocabulary today, and the next exercise is to fill in the blanks with the words in the box. So we have 2 kilos de, una botella de, varios, un ramo de. And we need to choose the right one for each one of the words that we have just seen previously. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to match up the correct word in the box with the right word on the right hand side. Off you go. And your time is up. Now let's have a look and see what the words are. The first one, 2 kilos de verduras. 2 kilos means 2 kilos of, or kilograms. By the way, you have a preposition here, which is de, which is very common in Spanish. So it's good to be familiar with that one. The question now is, what other words will use 2 kilos de? Well, we also have 2 kilos de frutas, and also 2 kilos de carne. Now then, what about leche? Well, leche will use una botella de leche, which is a bottle of milk. Can we see anything else that would actually use that expression? Yeah, we have una botella de aceite. Now, what about elementos de aseo? Well, we say varios elementos de aseo, several. And finally, we have un ramo de flores, a bunch of flowers. So I would like you to take a picture of it or write it down because we are going to be using this later on today in our lesson. By the way, feel free to come back to the lesson if you want to revise, and also feel free to take notes or a screenshot the or get a screenshot of the screen so you can actually revise. Let's move on. Now, necesitar is a very important verb. And of course, we have a meaning for it, which is to need. Now, we are going to conjugate it or change it in simple present. As you can see, necesitar has an ending, AR. So let's have a look and see some facts about this verb. First of all, it's a regular verb. That means that all we are going to be doing today is we are going to be changing AR. And it belongs to the AR group. There are 3 families or 3 groups in Spanish of verbs, the AR, ER, and IR. And this verb is a synonym, which means that it's similar to requerir or exigir. which are the verbs, but they belong to different families, which is the IR family. Now, when we are talking about conjugation, it means that we are going to change that verb slightly so we can actually say certain sentences in English or, well, in Spanish. We have necesito. And as you can see, I'm changing the AR for O. But what does that mean? Well, that means I need. What about necesitas? Well, that means you need in singular. And as you can see, and the only bit I'm changing is the last bit of it. Then we have necesita, and that means he or she needs. Then we have necesitamos, that's we need. We also have necesitáis, which is you need but in plural. And finally, we have necesitan, which is they need. So keep an eye on all of this. Take a moment to take notes of all of these verbs and conjugations because they are really helpful in your daily life. And if you go to Spain or any place in Latin America, you'll be able to use these fully confident. Let's move on. Now, we are going to listen to 4 people here. The question is, what do they need? So let's listen to each one of them, and then we are going to work out what is it that they need. Let's listen to Laura first.
Necesito 1 kilo de carne.
I'm going to replay that one.
Necesito 1 kilo de carne.
And let's listen to it again.
Necesito 1 kilo de carne.
Okay. What about Daniel or Daniel?
Hola, necesito 1 kilo de frutas y verduras.
Let's do it again.
Hola, necesito 1 kilo de frutas y verduras.
And one last time.
Hola, necesito 1 kilo de frutas y verduras.
Okay. What about Ricardo?
Buenos días. Necesito un ramo de flores.
And again?
Buenos días. Necesito un ramo de flores.
And one last time.
Buenos días. Necesito un ramo de flores.
And finally, Luis.
Hola, necesitamos una botella de aceite.
And again.
Hola, necesitamos una botella de aceite.
And one last time.
Hola, necesitamos una botella de aceite.
Okay. Any ideas? Let's see some hints. Here we have a list of things that they might need. So I'm going to replay each one of those once, and then let's see where you can actually get what they need.
Necesito 1 kilo de carne.
Hola, necesito 1 kilo de frutas y verduras.
Buenos días. Necesito un ramo de flores. Hola, necesitamos una botella de aceite.
Okay, so Laura or Laura
Necesito 1 kilo de carne.
needs a kilo of meat.
Hola, necesito 1 kilo de frutas y verduras.
Daniel needs some fruits and some vegetables. A kilo exactly.
Buenos días. Necesito un ramo de flores.
Ricardo needs a bunch of flowers.
Hola, necesitamos una botella de aceite.
And Luis needs a bottle of oil. How did that go? I hope you've done it really well. Let's move on. Now we're going to do a translation here, and this is going to take a good time. So we have these sentences. We need some toiletries. I need a kilo of meat and a kilo of fruits. Do you need a bottle of milk? What do you need? Daniel needs a bunch of flowers, and my sister needs a bottle of oil. So your mission is very simple. Let's work out the translation for each one of these sentences. Off you go. And our time is up. Now then, we are going to look at these sentences because they truly have a lot of good information that we can use for our own advantage. First, let's see the translations. The first one, we need some toiletries. Necesitamos varios elementos de aseo. So a couple of things. Look at how some toiletries becomes varios elementos de aseo. So that's a good phrase to keep in your toolkit of phrases when you're writing or when you're speaking. I need a kilo of meat and a kilo of fruits. Necesito un kilo de carne y un kilo de frutas. And that's great. Next, we have ¿Necesitas una botella de leche? Do you need a bottle of milk? Well, that's a really good sentence. And notice that we have the S at the end of necesitas. That sentence makes or feels very informal, which is good. What do you need? ¿Qué necesitas? And that's, once again, a good sentence to have. Daniel needs a bunch of flowers. Daniel necesita un ramo de flores. Finalmente, mi hermana necesita una botella de aceite. I hope you remember that when we want to say he or she, we need to basically only add an A at the end of necesita. Well, today we have revised vocabulary related to the supermarket. We have learned how to conjugate the verb to need in present tense. We have also listened to native speakers saying that what we need or what they need. And finally, we have translated some sentences into Spanish. I hope you have learned lots of things today, and also feel free to come back and check this video again. In the meantime, muchos éxitos y hasta muy pronto.